Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of Cartridge Cloud, episode 3. We're going to be, I'm joined today by Captain Tutu and Hassendo. Welcome, guys. How's it going?
Pretty good.
All right.
Oh, yeah. So we're getting ready to go through our topics today. I got some cool stuff in, for sure. We've got the Nintendo Direct news, the new Epic Store publishing, weekly Tutu's weekly deals and cool stuff. We'll also be talking about some of the new game launches that have come out in the past week or so and our thoughts on those releases. So, Tutu, everybody, what have you guys been playing this week? What has been the big thing that you guys been dug into in terms of games?
Hendo, you want to start?
Go for it.
Okay, well, I'll start. Silence. Most of the games that I played this week, we're gonna kind of have some a little bit of deep dive conversations on later in the podcast. So, but of course, I'm playing my Animal Crossing. I've been playing. Checked out Predator Hunting Grounds. But I went back. The most interesting thing is I went back to playing Elder Scrolls Online this week. One, it was because they have like a really cool event going on this week. It's like the Jesters Festival, and it's a pretty fun event. You can kind of just, it's really silly. You can like throw pies at players and you get rewarded for that and things like that. And also just preparing for the brand new expansion that's still scheduled to come out in May, hopefully. So trying to do as much as I can in that game before that expansion drops. Pretty much. So yeah,
that's pretty cool. I haven't actually gotten to play the new ESO content much. I've been trying to do my daily logins and whatnot, but I always miss a day or two, and then I miss that amount at the end of the month, which is I keep trying to get, and it's been there the last 2 months, and I'm like, damn it, I literally just missed it for that last one.
I have faithfully kept that Khajiit off my back. I've not dived into ESO yet because enough of my life is absorbed right now.
Oh, that's definitely understandable.
Yeah, it's MMO, so definitely time sinker. But one of the less time sinking MMOs, I would say. I mean, still, of course, MMO. So, but it's not as crazy as some other ones that I played, like a Final Fantasy or things like that.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely one more. I think you could just jump in and play a couple things. Like you could do just a dungeon or just some worldview or alliance battles. Stuff like that, like PvP, and just jump right in, do a couple things and get off. Like even some of the quests aren't really that like super long, which is nice.
See, that's super addictive to me because I'm like a Destiny 2 player. So like I like that jump in and out, and I'll do that for hours.
Oh yeah, it's totally worth it. What about you, Hendo? What have you been playing this week?
Well, actually, I kind of revealed that a little bit. I did play some of the new event in Destiny 2. They're dropping some big reveals. The War Mind's getting active. I grabbed a few cheap games, Project Eagle, which is Mars colonization, just like walkthrough simulator thing, made by the same guys that made Deserts of Karak, the homeworld prequel. Got Universal Battle Simulator just because I found a bunch of really funny mods, so I get like an army of Lynx fighting a bunch of Crocs. And I've been playing Last Oasis as much as I can. Only got about 7 hours into it before the debacle happened with the servers, but I had a lot of fun that 7 hours.
Oh yeah, I definitely feel you on that one. For me, it's been a lot of Last Oasis, since we got access on that on Monday, I believe, this past Monday, and then Predator Hunting Ground just to try it because I mean, if you ever met a bigger Predator fanboy, if you didn't know, hint, it's me. Like even as a kid, man, like I've like dug into the Predator stuff, like Alien versus Predator, like all that stuff. That whole like universe is like super intriguing to me. Like when I was a kid, I had the entire Predator collection of action figures when I was a kid. Like that's just how deep it went.
Their actual name too. It's like Young Chi or some stuff, right?
Not that deep. I know like the classes they are usually, but not necessarily like, in terms of the names or anything. And I know that the newest Predator movie actually kind of changed up a lot of like what people thought about the lore and all that kind of stuff. So that definitely shot some stuff out. But
definitely got some Predator comics to shoot your way.
Oh, nice. I'll definitely have to check those out. But yeah, for me, it's just been mostly Last Oasis, some of the Predator Hunting Grounds since we got access to that on Friday. And then, God, what was it else? Oh, Stellaris. I was trying to dig into the new Stellaris Federation's content, and man, that got ridiculous. Like, it gets ridiculous real quick. You could totally pull an Emperor Palpatine in that thing. It's just crazy.
Ooh. I've been waiting for like my mods to like catch up and update before I jump into it.
Yeah, most of mine have caught up, except for a few that won't because they're just icons and logos, like simple small stuff. But everything else is caught up, which is nice. But
Yeah,
I go
just waiting.
mod minimum on that one just because I don't want to dig into that stuff too much. But
Well, I go for ship mods. That's what I aim for mainly.
oh yeah, some of the ship mods are really good. Like that's been the problem. Like every time I get a ship mod, it goes out of date real easy, and then it takes forever to get them. So I have to wait this time, and then I got rid of them because of it.
Yeah, I'm still too attached to Battle Stars to throw that one out yet, though.
Yeah. Oh, that's definitely a good one.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I got the Stargate one too.
Chichi, what's our first topic today?
So we're starting off going to talk about that surprise Nintendo Direct Mini that happened this Thursday. So early, super early Thursday morning. I want to say it was like 6 a.m. Pacific time. Nintendo surprise dropped a Nintendo Direct Mini that showed off like a lot of cool like announcements, reveals, surprises, and whatnot. So we start off the Direct. They show off Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, which looks so beautiful. It's crazy. I saw like a lot of comparison videos with that and the Wii version and like the 3DS version. And like all the updates they've done to it look phenomenal. They added they remastered and redid a lot of the tracks too, which is really cool. And that one's dropping May 29th, which is funny. It's the same day as The Last of Us. It's funny because Nintendo's like always competing with these big games lately.
I think it's one of those things, like especially at this point in time, it's kind of like the plop on the table, like what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah. And just to make mention, they did start off the Direct. Actually, I totally forgot, but they start off the Direct talking about how with the current situation going on right now, that any number of these games could be delayed. So just keep that in mind. But as of right now, Xenoblade Chronicles is scheduled for May 29th. And then just to quickly go through some of the other games revealed, we got the a 2K like games announcement. They're releasing like a bunch of games on Switch. We've got the BioShock collection, which is going to be really neat. The Borderlands collection, sadly, doesn't include 3, of course, but you get Borderlands 1, 2, and the pre-sequel. And then what I'm most excited about is XCOM, the complete edition with all the DLC. XCOM 2 is coming to Switch, and those are all dropping on May 29th as well.
I feel like that's a solid one for Switch too. Like that's something you just pick up and take with you and do whatever. Like XCOM, especially like those turn-based strategies.
Yeah.
Like I love those games.
Yeah, like I was just about to say, because I played the Dark Crystal turn-based strategy games, kind of like XCOM, and it works beautifully on the Switch. Like those type of games really do flow really smoothly.
Yeah, I've been waiting for so long for like an XCOM 3. XCOM 3. Well, that too, but XCOM 2 announcement coming to Switch. So it is late, but I'm glad we're finally getting it. I'm excited to check it out.
And I'm kind of excited too for this Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah, I want to check it out. So this is another thing. There's a lot of stuff dropped. Marvel Ultimate Alliance, they had like an expansion pass with like 3 different DLCs, and this is their most expansive one yet. It's the Shadow of Doom DLC, so it features the Fantastic Four they have like such cool designs. And Doctor Doom, you could play as Doctor Doom himself, and it's like unlike the previous 2 DLCs, it's like a full story, so it's like a continuation off of the end of Ultimate Alliance 3 there. I have it downloaded, but I haven't checked it out yet, and I want to. But God, the Marvel Ultimate Alliance is such a grindy game. So, but
yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah, man, that's been my challenge with it.
Man,
I've been wanting to tackle it because I used to play Marvel Heroes before those servers shut down.
Oh,
I
dude,
thought about that grind.
Yeah, some of those are really good. Like I love Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, but it definitely took the grind to the next level compared to the previous ones. Like before, you used to be able to go through the game in like maybe 20 hours on, I think it's Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, and it was a great game. It was super fun to play, but this one has got like grindy and replayability to like the 5th degree because every character leveling on their own instead of the player actually leveling as himself. Instead, you now do it in the per character basis, which sucks because Now, if you need a specific character to a certain level, now you got to go back and grind them a little bit and do everything. And that's the part that kind of kills me on it. It's a great game, though. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, I have that problem with being a little too grindy for me.
And there's so many unlocks tied to like replaying the game over and over again. Like in order to unlock Thanos, you have to play it on like beat it on the hardest difficulty, and even the I want to say for all the new DLC characters that they added, you have to play it like I think they added another like hard difficulty, even harder than the base game. You have to play through that just to unlock like Blade and all the other characters that got released. So it's real grindy, fun, but grindy as all hell.
Oh yeah.
And then we got a Capcom kind of indie game called Shinsekai Into the Depths. It's like a deep sea diving adventure kind of game. Looks pretty cool. And we got this indie game called Good Job, which looks really funny. It's pretty much like it's you do these environmental puzzles within like office working spaces, and like you try not to mess it up. And if you mess it up, you get like docked like your pay for it, which is really funny. Catherine Full Body is coming to the Switch in July. Ring Fit Adventure got a new like rhythm-based mode to help you get your workout on while dancing and having fun. Good luck trying to find that game right now.
Which one is it? Wait, which one?
Ring Fit Adventure, the exercise game.
Oh yeah, dude, that's been one of those ones
like
that's been
sold out everywhere.
Yeah.
Ever since the Wii Fit, I don't trust Nintendo workout games.
Dude, it's so good. I need to play it more, but like every time I have played it, I break out in like a full sweat. It's really, really.
There's one of these there's one section of ones I want to jump in on just because like this is like one of my favorite like beloved series is Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy. Also, yeah, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but came out on the Switch, and it's still one of the most requested games to make a fucking new one. Like, for the love of God, EA, just make a new one. Like, everybody loves it, and they will buy it on all these platforms. Just make a new one. Oh my God.
Yeah, it'd be really cool to have a new one of that.
Sorry, go ahead and continue on that one.
We've got King's Bounty 2, it's a fantasy RPG. It's coming sometime in 2020. The bigger topics I'm going to save for later. But going on, we've got Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classic. Now, this actually looks pretty cool. It's a bunch of like kind of like classic board games or computer games, like all jumbled into one. So you got like backgammon, you got like chess, checkers, even got like mahjong. You got like this really cool tank mini game, and it's all like you can play online or local play, which is really cool. We've got this weird free-to-play battle royale called Ninjala. It's coming in May, and it looks really pretty. It looks almost like Splatoon. So we'll see about that. Battle royales, today I feel kind of especially the newer ones, but we'll see. And then going off of the Star Wars stuff, Nintendo announced that Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, like the pod racer game, is coming to Switch.
Yeah.
On old N64, I think is what it was originally. That's a pretty rad one.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm
sure it'll be on other platforms.
Pod racers were the most like redeemable thing of the Phantom Menace. Let's all admit that.
Oh, basically, yeah. In terms of the games, yeah.
The games and the movie, the franchise, even shit.
And then we got a remake for Panzer Dragoon, which is out right now. Sadly, I heard that the remake isn't that great, but feel free to check it out at your own discretion. Trials of Mana is coming April 24th. We also have a demo of that on not only Switch, but all other platforms that it's coming to. And some of the bigger things is we've got Smash Brothers. They announced that the next DLC fighter will be from ARMS, which is really, really crazy and exciting. That Nintendo is still pushing ARMS this far out. But I liked ARMS, and it'll be interesting to see which ARMS fighter will be in the game. And that's scheduled to drop in June, the new fighter from ARMS. And we've got a really cool look at Bravely Default 2. There's also a demo available on the eShop that you can download and play right now.
Ooh,
and
RPG.
Yeah. And then we also have a new look at the Pokemon Sword and Shield expansion pass, particularly the first DLC expansion, which is the Island of Amor. It's dropping sometime in June, and they showed off like the cute legendary Pokemon that you get from that, and how you can kind of customize by going to like one temple or another. So look pretty cool. I'm interested in that.
Yeah, it does look pretty awesome. Like I got into playing Pokemon a little bit because my nephew has a Switch, and he likes to help. I always have to help him out, and this actually looks really fun.
There's one of them
Yeah,
that
so
like
now-
some of these other like further out releases are kind of interesting though.
Oh yeah. You're talking about at the bottom?
Yeah.
Yeah, Warhammer 40K Mechanicus is kind of like XCOM, so I highly recommend that game. I have it for the PC. Yeah, it's basically
Dungeon.
XCOM. Yeah, it's basically XCOM in the 40K universe. You play a bunch of Mechanicus adepts raiding a Necron tomb. It's awesome.
Oh, interesting.
That sounds cool. I like the Warhammer 40K like universe.
Yeah, it's really well done. I think it's made by Slytherin.
Oh,
Hey,
interesting. Another one that I thought that was kind of interesting in this lineup for other games too was Elder Scrolls Blades, which we haven't really heard much
Oh,
about
God.
since last E3. Want to say?
Ooh.
Yeah, I heard it's gotten better, but still.
I got into the early access play for it or whatever that was like sometime in the fall or this past fall, and I didn't like it very much. I quickly uninstalled it not too long after, to be honest, because I was just like, eh.
Yeah. They
real
really
important-
like gated your progress on that, and a lot of mobile games do that crap, and I hate it. But they removed that, and I haven't checked out since they removed that. So I'm sure it's a bit better now, but still just felt kind of like just like I don't feel like going back to.
Yeah, I definitely feel you on that one. That one wasn't one of my favorites. And then Burnout Paradise Remastered 2020, which is kind of interesting because they're remastering it again for the Switch.
The Saints Row looks nice.
Yeah, Saints Row Re-Elected, which was
That's been out for 2 days. Get on it, people.
that was pretty good. I mean, it was a fun game. It's just like a ridiculous GTA, basically.
Yeah,
And then
Saints Row has always been that good. I just always love that one.
The Legend of Heroes Trials of Cold Steel comes out June 30th. Then we have Mr. Driller Drill Land June 25th, and then Minecraft Dungeons sometime in spring 2020, which we have only got, I don't know, a month and a half left. 2 months.
It's scheduled to release in April, but I'm hearing talks about that being delayed too.
Definitely makes sense.
And of course, everybody knows about Animal Crossing.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. But thoughts on this mini direct?
I think it's overall pretty cool. I'm kind of curious in like the Star Wars games starting to come out on a lot more platforms all of a sudden, which is gonna kind of been interesting as they've been like re-releasing some of them. Like especially Star Wars Jedi Academy, like has come out almost every platform so far. Like it's even on mobile. And I'm just like, if it's that popular and you guys are releasing it that much, like why isn't there an effort to use that Star Wars license to build another one of those? Maybe do it an expanded universe, and include all the current stuff, because that was on the old expanded universe, which now is not canon anymore. But why not do like a newer version of that with the canonized stuff?
Well, I think that all falls back because the company that holds the IP and would give them permission is going through a lot of struggles right now. So that's probably stalled negotiations on stuff like that.
Oh, geez.
I've been, as you guys know, I follow the business aspect. Disney and Buena Vista are in really deep trouble right now with the current situation. So that's probably why they haven't, been greenlighting or releasing much of the IP, and why you're seeing so many releases on other platforms. They're trying to get as much money as they can, especially with the parks being shut down.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people may not know this, Disney relies heavily on the park revenue, a lot more than their movies.
Which is interesting because they make a ton of money on the movies too, especially with, I mean, none of the releases are obviously coming out right now either. So that's also an interesting thing.
Yeah, that would have to be a show in itself that I would have to dig in with you guys and show you it gets pretty interesting. Disney has experimented even in gaming, but you'll be surprised what they actually make a profit off.
Yeah.
Now to go back onto the topic of the Nintendo.
Yeah, back to
Direct here.
Nintendo. Let's go back across the ocean.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool of Nintendo to like shadow drop this mini direct. Now to my surprise, well, probably not so much to my surprise, but of course, upset. They were rioting, they were screaming, they were up in arms about this direct mini, and I'm just sitting here thinking, like, why? Like, I feel like people should have like expectation title alone with direct mini, not a full on direct. This is pretty much just all the stuff coming this summer. We still don't know what's coming the fall. There's plenty of surprises under their belt that they'll show off at E3. But man, I feel like fans are so spoiled nowadays. These Nintendo are really amazing.
What were they upset about though?
I guess they didn't get no no teases at like Breath of the Wild 2 or Metroid. And those games are ways away.
Like people getting upset about that kind of stuff. Like that's like major release launch, things like E3 or either a big Nintendo Direct. Like this was just a mini giving some updates on some minor games, not necessarily like they're like main lineups of stuff. I mean, aside of the Animal Crossing thing, which we'll get to here in a second.
Yeah. Also, I think they're upset that of course, we don't know what's coming out this fall. Business standpoint, I feel like Nintendo was really smart, like with this year so far, because you have to think about it. Like Animal Crossing, probably overall will be their biggest game this year, and so for them to kind of like the first part of this year entirely on Animal Crossing was so smart, and then to have this like mini direct the week after saying like, "Hey, we've got stuff coming this summer. Check us out." Like I thought that was really smart. Really.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Like it definitely like boosts them a bit because I mean, like Animal Crossing right now, I mean, it's been out a week and it's still one of the top games on Twitch still, and it's pretty impressive by itself. I mean, I don't know if you want to have that as your segue into Animal Crossing, but we should, let's dive into that one.
Animal Crossing and Doom are saving the world.
Definitely. So as part of the last part of this Nintendo Direct Mini that we had, they showed off a couple new updates coming to the game. And the first one is dropping this week, which is the Bunny Day event DLC. It's coming April 1st to the 12th. It's pretty much like an Easter themed DLC. Like every day you can hunt for eggs, and then when you gather eggs and you turn them in, you get like outfits and like items, furniture, and whatnot. And then at the end of April, there's going to be an Earth Day DLC event, which one revolves around kind of like cleaning up and like planting trees and flowers, and you get rewarded for it. So pretty much the stuff you do normally in Animal Crossing.
But yet certain organizations say it's an unethical game. Don't listen to those organizations.
Yeah, PETA.
Oh God, I completely forgot about that topic.
It was so funny. It was so funny. I couldn't help but bring it up.
Oh God, yeah. If anybody hadn't heard about that, like the PETA like went against Animal Crossing, saying it was unethical for animals and all this other stuff, and we're just like, PETA, calm down. It's a video game.
The organization that sued a photographer on the behalf of a monkey tried going after Animal Crossing. If that will shock you people.
Yeah.
Oh man,
that article seemed like such like a satire article, like the way it was written, but it's legit 100%.
Who's running that organization? Is it like Steve-O still getting drunk and not telling people, and then like running PETA?
Oh man, I don't know. So
I thought he was sober, but I question myself when PETA does things like this.
Yeah, I have no idea. So on Animal Crossing itself, like, what do you guys think of the game so far? Like a week in, like as we're still obviously like coming out or understanding how the game works, especially after a week, like each little new release or each house expansion, each neighbor moving in, each island, bonus and stuff like that. I feel like I'm still behind on it because I'm not on it as much, but like what do you guys think of that? Like how this whole game is evolving now, and especially in how it's very different from the games that we're releasing today, where everything's kind of instant gratification, whereas this one you have to kind of wait actual real time to pass for it.
Yeah, I really I love it. It's definitely, I would say, the best Animal Crossing we have to date. It is like definitely a slow burn. Everything unlocks over time. You have to wait like a day or even days on end just to unlock certain stuff. The most interesting thing about this Animal Crossing is like events and even stuff that was in previous games are kind of tied to like these DLC updates, which I think is really interesting. I feel like the Nintendo did that to kind of like stop us from getting like all the good stuff. A lot of people like to time travel to kind of progress faster in that game. And like if you time travel, say like even to like April 1st event day, there won't be no event. Same thing with like Christmas. And like even there's a lot of like data miners found like stuff for like the cafe, which is a really big feature for housing, where you can like go and get coffee, and even like some other stuff that was featured in past games that's going to be like kind of DLC updates for this game.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. Like I just finally unlocked the bridge and like some of the new neighbors, and like, man, even the grind to get your neighbors, like new neighbors into this the town is like, man, I'm like, that's a lot of stuff to do for like, I only play like maybe a couple hours a day at most. I mean, that's even been stretched across like, you know, multiple little hour-long play sessions throughout the day.
Everything in Animal Crossing is a grind, but it's not stressful at all. It's like the most relaxing, calming, soothing grind that you could ever be on.
I think like even now, like my only real gripe with Animal Crossing is just the fact that you can't tune down or tone down the dialogues. Like your dialogues, you spend more time in your dialogues than doing anything else in the game. And that's probably like still my only like biggest gripe of the game so far.
Talking about like talking to neighbors and such.
Yeah, like I mean, talking to neighbors, talking to Tom Nook, talking to the guys to sell your stuff, like getting the turnip prices and turnips sold and stuff like that. Like some of that stuff is
the most annoying
like,
thing. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was going to say the most annoying thing to me still is like online, like going online, like get through all those dialogue trees, those boxes, just absolutely. To go to your friend's town and like just to go back home it's a bit much.
The Dodo dialogues definitely need to be tuned down a bit because there's like I think I looked at it one day and it was like 9 dialogues you got to get through just to go to somebody's town. It's like, all right, like if you got multiple friends online, it's even worse because then it labels them out one by one, and I'm just like, bro, calm down with the dialogues, like.
All I know is some little kids are learning how to read right now, thanks to Animal Crossing.
Well, patience. They're learning patience, not reading.
They're learning both, and it's great.
Oh man,
read and patience.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's some of it's really ridiculous in terms of the dialogues and whatnot. It's just crazy on how many there are. But anyway, anything else on Animal Crossing?
I love it. I can't wait to see. What comes next. Looking forward to the Bunny Day event, Earth Day event. I need my damn cafe soon.
Right.
But, with the way things are going, I understand if it has to be delayed.
I'm waiting for the Animal Crossing Doom guy skin to drop.
Right. Like even get just like a helmet or something in game,
Yeah, they really should do a crossover event. That would be so awesome.
That would like seal the deal on the whole like media stunt they were doing. Like I think it would be just icing on the cake for that whole thing.
They probably could once Doom hits Switch because it got delayed for Switch.
Oh, that's right.
And also, they already made a unicorn skin. I redeemed it on Twitch. It's real. So
yeah.
All right, so let's get into our next topic. So there was news this week of Epic Games announcing a big publishing deal with Gen Design, Playdead, and Remedy Entertainment. Now, if you're not familiar with some of these, like Remedy especially is actually the makers of the game called Control, which actually also had DLC come out this past week. And it's kind of an interesting deal. Like I think how they've labeled it all out, which is very different from what they want developers to do to bring their stuff to the game store or the Epic Game Store, which is like is very unique in its own regard, and it's kind of like a big front for Epic Games. I'm kind of curious to see how this is going to play out overall. But what they're labeling is fundamentally basically changes how like the developer publisher model goes. They want to give the developers full creative freedom and ownership, while they retain 100% of the developers retain 100% of the intellectual property and all creative control over their work. But Epic wants to fully fund the projects, which is 100% of development costs, salaries, marketing expenses, QA, localization, marketing, and all the publishing costs, which is very different.
That in itself is crazy.
Like that's a huge bill potentially from them. And I'm thinking throughout this whole thing, I'm like, is Fortnite money really that good? Like, bro.
Well, and don't forget, there's a small little part after that, too. After they recoup their costs from backing that, they want a 50-50 split.
Yeah, so on top of that, so they earn their fair share of the work. Once the costs are recouped, developers earn at least 50% of all profits from the game sales, which is interesting. I
It sounds like one of those shifty, like Mark Cuban deals on Shark Tank that might not be all that good behind closed doors.
like I think it's
So
a good
why do you
thing.
think it's shifty? I think that's really good, especially for them.
I don't.
Sorry,
I
but
still think
especially for them
there's.
covering like all the costs.
I
If
think there's
this
still
is
some hidden
like one,
caveats for it too, because like if they ever go and want to release a game that's not published by Epic, it's probably when they're going to run into a problem. So they're basically like
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
co-owned
I'm
essentially.
skeptic. I'm skeptic of motivations and what red tape may go on to these developers.
Like I mean, all these
Like,
developers have all come out with something. I can't remember what Playdead made. I know what Remedy made. I know what
So
Gen Design made.
just to Gen Design is the creators of Eco, Last Guardian, Shadow of the Colossus. Playdead did those like creepy games, those creepy indie games, like
Oh yeah, that's right.
Inside,
Inside and Limbo. That's right.
and the other one that was black and white,
Limbo.
Alan Wake, and now Control. Yeah,
Limbo. Yeah. Yeah. So it's Limbo and Inside. So yeah, the little side-scrolling platform adventures.
yeah.
And they're also making, I guess, another game called Stella, which is coming out at some point. It's not out yet. It was supposed to be released in 2019, but it looks like it was delayed.
and
But
you know, while I love giving creators a lot of freedom, I kind of also feel this might be giving the keys to the asylum to the inmates kind of deal too. Because if it's as they say it is, and they're just backing it all, just go hog wild, I'm really interested what might happen with that.
well, yeah, you got to think too. Like they're, I would
I'm
think,
excited.
I would think
I'm
to some degree.
excited too. I'm just, looking at kind of a sideways glance a little.
No, the one thing I'm like worried about on this one is like they're probably going to limit them on certain time frames. They've got to release stuff on it. You know, like they're
Well,
probably going to be stuck to only a certain amount of development costs. Like they'll cover it, but it's like, okay, well we've got a 2-year deadline. Now you have to come out with this in 2 years, and they don't care how you do it.
And also, I want to know who gets to calculate how much costs are going to be. Like, is Epic going to just come up with their own ad budget and be like, well, you owe us for this? Or does the developer get to set that?
Yeah,
That's
it's kind of
another thing,
interesting how
too. Like, what are
how that will
these?
work out.
Yeah, because, it's one thing to say, I'm 100% going to back you, but if I, charge you 300% to pay me back.
Well, I mean, they're not. There's nothing on that at least so far. But at the same time, it's like there's got to be a limit, like because you can't have developers infinitely developing something. Like it can't go on for like 10 years because otherwise they're just losing money.
I
Right?
mean, there's got to be a limit, but I mean, this is Epic we're talking about. Epic got, they got bankrolls, they got money right now. So,
Well, I
feel
also
like,
kind of wonder. Sorry to cut you off. One thing I almost kind of wonder too is if they're going to be building all these new games in Unreal to kind of support or alleviate the cost of whatever they're doing instead of doing like a brand new engine or something else. They're like, well, just use Unreal and we'll support you 100% because that's our platform, right? So it gives them more like
Yeah.
motivation to go and like actually do Unreal. Then they have the full house of support and everything behind it. So it makes some of that quicker to some degree, right? I imagine
definitely.
Yeah,
there's got
but
to be something like that in there.
Yeah, but being also locked into an engine and not being able to make your own in-house, also limits some really great creativity in the industry.
I could see that.
Yeah, like the only thing that I know is like a part of this deal that they didn't talk about, of course, is that exclusive to year. And
The
that's
what?
like like all of these games have to be exclusive to Epic for at least a year.
That might even be longer too. Like they don't even say if they're going to be exclusive, like wholly.
Yeah, see what I'm saying? It's just that the
Yeah.
wording. Like you guys are coming on to my little sideways glance. I'm liking it because this one I'm seeing from the way just the wording in the announcement and the way they tried to really these guys are the best in the industry. I'm like, you can say they're rising stars, you can say they're great companies, but the greatest, somebody's trying to build a hype train so nobody looks real close.
Yeah. Well, I understand it too. Like at the same time, there's got to be something. There's got to be some limitation to it. There's got to be some exclusivity to it, I imagine, because if they're fronting 100% of the developer costs, they don't want to go and have your game on some other store where somebody else is making money, right? Like the developers can go and do like a side scheme, basically put it on Steam and they keep 100% of that money. Well, that doesn't really work that way, right? Like if you're fronting the full bill for developing the game and doing everything, and QA and localization and marketing and all that stuff, like why are we going to market for another platform? Like it makes sense. Like it's probably going to be more than likely exclusive to Epic.
Yeah, I'm calling some like gaming
I could.
imperialism is going on here, guys. That's what I'm going to say. Gaming imperialism. I'm coining the term.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I'm curious to see what's going to happen. Obviously, we don't have enough information to really go off of to see what it's really like. But at this point, like, the speculation is going to be like, well, what else is there behind it? You know? So I'm definitely curious, just as much as you guys are, to see like what are they going to do with it, right?
Like, I'm sure they're going to come up with at least 2 decent games out of the 3 developers they're backing, you know?
Well,
So I'm not saying that the content produced is going to be crap. I'm just worried on what kind of red tape is going on behind the scenes.
well, that's one of the things too, is like they haven't said how many games are coming out too. They're just saying they're coming with the next gen games from these 3 companies. They don't say how many, if it's permanent, if it's only for 1 or 2 titles, like what is it? Like what's the stipulation behind it? Because they really don't get into that.
I'm going to say it right now. They probably locked each one of them in for 1 game with the potential to sign on for more. So I think at least 3 games are going to come out, 1 from each.
I know from another podcast, Kind of Funny Games, they talked about that they heard about like Remedy, for example. They've been locked to a deal 1 game of like a side game, like a spin-off game of that game. I really hope it's Alan Wake 2, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see what it ends up being in the end. I mean, either way, I'm excited. I really want to see what they do with it, right?
Yeah, could you imagine like Playdead getting like a full-on AAA game now to play with, like instead of like Limbo and Inside?
That'd be pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'd love seeing small studios being able to jump into the AAA market, being able to actually have the resources that go to their full potential. But, publishers are scum. I'm sorry. They always are. No matter what company you're talking about, the publishing wing always pulls some shiesty crap on developers, no matter what they promise them in the beginning.
Well, okay,
yeah. I mean,
so even thinking of like one of these two, like on an oddball track of the like games that companies release. I mean, look at Gen Design. Their last game, like Last Guardian, took forever to come back out.
Oh my god, yeah.
So I'm like, but that's also the kind of brings me to that thought of like they've got to probably only give them a certain amount of time to develop these, because otherwise there's like Last Guardian was what, it was like a 9-year development cycle.
Yeah, 9-10 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, 100% funding, but you got 10% of the time to produce.
Yeah.
Maybe even with like the PS3, like at launch, I remember seeing stuff like footage of Last Guardian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. So it's got to be some stipulation to it. But sorry to cut you off on that one.
No, but it's a really good speculation, because thing is, yeah, they're willing to back everything, including advertisement. But how much time are you giving the team? Are you going to force them to expand the team? Are you going to force people out? Are you going to, make them reshift their process? Are you going to make make them take third-party advisors they don't want to take to rush along shit? On their premise, well, we're giving them 100% with a 50% profit share.
Yeah.
And let's not even get, and then Epic already has issues with its customer base already when it comes to, customer friendliness.
Right. So that's definitely an interesting thing.
I just feel like Epic is still on like preying on developers' anti-Steam feeling still. That's why I feel still going on.
I think so, and Steam's even like trying to patch some of that up. Like they're trying new tactics that have been behind the doors, closed doors and whatnot.
As soon as Valve can make amends with these developers, or even just get onto a new set of developers that are more copacetic with their way of doing things, Epic's going to lose a lot of steam.
Oh yeah. I mean, as soon as they get off their ass and like try to do some other new stuff, like they're definitely going to come out strong on it. But like, how long are they going to be willing to let this go? Like, if they're going and doing like these exclusive deals with all these other developers, like what's going to happen when Steam or Valve tries to do the same thing? Like they're their own powerhouse. Like they just released Alyx. I don't know how many. I haven't seen the numbers for Alyx sales yet, but it's got to be pretty crazy, I imagine. Because everybody wants the the Half-Life experience and all this stuff. Which, by the way, it's great. But That's
You
going to
got
be for
VR
one of our.
kits selling out
Well,
just for
and
Alix, which is crazy too.
Well, and we also gotta keep in mind that while Epic likes to name drop, there's a ridiculous amount of developers in gaming.
Oh
Still,
yeah.
a ridiculous amount, and the vast majority of them are still happy being on Steam.
Well, absolutely, because it's just the amount of the player base they get, right? Like that's their biggest thing. It's just wanting that big player base that's already existing. Like Epic's got a great player base too, but it's a different demographic than like your average person on Steam, right?
Yeah,
So
and then
that changes quite a bit.
you also got form tools. You also got the banding mechanics and stuff. You have a bunch of, and you have really clear set rules by Valve when it comes to what a developer can and cannot do. When it comes to community regulations, you can do VAC bans if they're done a certain way. Like there's a lot of optimization that Steam does give the developers.
Oh,
I've talked to
absolutely.
a few. I've talked to guys that have done like really small projects, like 1 to 5 man projects on Steam, and everything I've heard from them has been quite positive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so everything's, I mean, overall pretty good there. So I'm kind of curious to see what it's gonna come out of it ultimately.
As long as you ain't asset flipping or trying to scam people, you usually do pretty well on Steam.
Oh yeah, overall, yeah. So we're running out of time for that topic. Let's go ahead and move on to Choo-Choo's weekly deals and cool stuff. Are you guys excited about that one? I'm excited about that.
I am.
So let's go on to that.
All right. So
Hold on. Gotta play the segment, man.
Yeah.
Got a cool one for it. This is Choo-Choo. Take us off with this one.
Yeah, let me take this one for y'all real quick. So lots of Steam sales. We got a Steam sale for Avalanche Studio Group. So games by Avalanche Studios are on sale right now. We have a Monolith Software developer sale on Steam, Square Enix sale on multiple platforms on Switch, and I believe on PS4 and Xbox as well. And we're in the last few days as far as like the spring sales for both Green Man Gaming. So if anything interests you, hop on there. I recommend Green Man because Green Man you can get if you want. And a lot of free content we're getting right now. So over on the Epic Game Store, we got Drawful 2, Figment, Tormentor, Cross Punisher, and World War Z are all free on the Epic Game Store right now. So make sure you hop on those, get those games for free, especially World War Z. That's a great deal.
Yeah, I think out of all the game deals for this week, that's probably one of the best for sure.
Definitely. And then for Microsoft made free content for Minecraft Educational Edition. So for any of parents happen to be out there, or if you have like a niece, nephew, little brother or something, Minecraft Educational Edition content is free right now. Certain content, not everything is free, but certain content from Minecraft Educational Edition is free. And then my personal top deal of the week, highly recommended. Unity right now is offering 3 months of free game design courses to all users. So hop on that. I'm definitely going to check that out for myself. It's really cool. If it wasn't for that, then World War Z would be my top deal of the week. But definitely top deal of the week goes to Unity for offering those 3 months of free game design courses.
Yeah, so if you're an aspiring designer and want to learn some of that stuff, that's definitely worth it for Unity. And like, I mean, Unity, from my understanding, is probably one of the top like 3 game design engines. Like you go, or game design things you could go through. It's really good, I've heard.
Definitely, yeah.
All right, well let's dig into our last topic. Hendo, take us off with the new game launches.
Oh yeah. Well, there have been, as everybody knows, we've had Animal Crossing, we have Doom, but there may be 4 games you may have not been aware of. We spoke pretty lightly about earlier in the show Last Oasis, which we'll go into in just a second, but we also have Predator Hunting Ground Trials, which Shifter is more familiar with than myself because he's actually played with it a little bit more. We have Half-Life Alyx, which, if you want, a crab to the face, it's a great choice. And then we have Bleeding Edge, which I want to start with because we talked about a little bit earlier, and I want to delve into it with I believe Tutu himself had played a little bit with it.
Oh no, I haven't touched that yet. But
yeah, that's been the one I haven't touched, but just from what I've watched on it, it's an interesting one. I think it's in a market that it's not desired at this moment, like personally anyway.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't really delved into Bleeding Edge myself, so I'm just gonna do this. We're gonna go by the games I've touched the least, and then we'll talk about Last Oasis last, just so everybody in the chat knows how we're doing this. Now, Alex, I like. A buddy of mine has a VR headset, and I got to play a few minutes of it, and I won't lie, I ran into a wall.
It ran into a wall, huh?
Yeah, so that's a 10 out of 10 for me. It's a 10 out of 10.
I thought some of the grav gauntlet things were really cool. It's different because you have to kind of like flick your wrist to get it. Like the movement and walking is very smooth. The action is very smooth. The sound is greatly done. And I'm using a Oculus Rift S headset for it, and it's super smooth. Like I absolutely love it. Yeah, I've ran into the walls too. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the story, because I only played it for like literally like 3 minutes while my buddy was playing.
I couldn't tell you because I'm only like 30 minutes in tops, and I haven't actually gotten to face any enemies yet. Most of the stuff is just kind of like playing around with the area, the story, the grav gauntlets, like trying to get familiar with the game because I really want to dive into it more. That's definitely one I'll have to talk about more, I think, at a later date, just because I'm so fresh into the game still because I haven't had enough time to play everything with work and everything. But it's definitely like super smooth from what I've gotten and what I've gotten to see people play. There's been some ridiculous videos of like people going and getting like the head crabs and like doing little dances with them and trying to like Kobe them into the garbage cans. All kinds of crazy stuff with it.
I really like it because I'm also a fan of the SCP Foundation, so I'm waiting for somebody to do an SCP mod on Alex, and it's going to be amazing.
Oh, that'll be super fun.
And then
Predator Hunting Grounds.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go to next. You played it more than I have, so go ahead.
Yeah, so Predator Hunting Grounds is a really cool game pitting humans against predators again, kind of similar to the 80s movie for Predator 2. Kind of a mix between actually Predator 1 and Predator 2. It's more so in the Predator 1 landscape where you're going into the jungle and you're doing this stuff. And now playing as the Predator, you can jump up on trees, you do all the traditional Predator stuff, including like the crazy smart disc, you get the spear, there's even a bow feature, which I've only seen in some of the comics and offshoot games. And then you get your different classes of Predator, which I haven't quite got the different classes of Predator yet. I've gotten different classes of the humans, which has been pretty fun. And everything, like so far, the game itself is fantastic. I mean, the only, my biggest gripes, obviously, because it's just a beta, is the server capabilities are not great. Like matchmaking takes forever sometimes. And that's probably one of the biggest downfalls. And then the UI menus, like some of the menus are just so poorly designed, is probably my biggest complaint, really, is like you can unlock a bunch of stuff and there's like these mini content, like they're not necessarily loot boxes because they're only cosmetic boxes and you can only get them through the in-game currency. There's no purchasing or money involved with it. It's just whatever you earn for the currency to unlock it.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. So far. We'll see on that one. That's a TBD for when it comes out next month. But so far, I mean, the gameplay itself is solid. Like it's fun. Probably beside of the menus and some of the matchmaking stuff, like my other biggest gripe is really the like hitboxes and stuff like that. When you get some stuff, like some of them it's okay, but then there's other times you can't see it at all, especially if you're hitting a predator. Like some of that is kind of weird, I think. But like Chichi, what are some of your thoughts on this? Because I know you got to play some of it too.
Yeah, I really enjoy it so far. I'm looking forward. I think we're going to play like right after this podcast is play some more. But I'm really enjoying it. Of course, the Predator feels amazing, awesome. The best part of the game, of course, as it should be. And it felt so great to play him, like jumping from like branches to branches and like leaping down, attacking people, and then jumping back up to kind of stealth and hide. Like there's a lot of like tacticalness to it, like a lot that I didn't think would be there, and it's really cool and really rewarding. Now playing as the Fireteam Marines is a bit iffy. I feel like it's kind of hard to target the Predator. I mean, I think in some cases it should be, of course, because it's the Predator, but like aiming just kind of feels a little off to me. And maybe that's just something I gotta mess with the settings and whatnot.
Well, the Predator's always been hard to gaming.
Yeah, one of the challenges I've noticed too is even sometimes when you hit the Predator and you shoot him, like in the tutorial when you play it, if you hit the Predator, he uncloaks right away. But sometimes I've seen it when you hit him, he doesn't uncloak unless that's just players recloaking up that quick. Which also I think there should be some kind of cooldown, I think, on that.
Now I have a question real quick. Now, I've heard you guys mention bushes and trees. Is it only a forest environment, or do you get like urban environments too?
So far, only in the level that we get is the jungle environment. I think we only get one level in this one. Or
Well, I
one
heard
map.
you reference Predator too. That's why I was like, you guys get to mess around in New York. Is that what you referenced?
No. So the reason I mentioned Predator 2 is just because of the Predator. The starting Predator you get is the Predator from Predator 2. So that's the one, like that's like the basis of it. So that your basic Predator that you get is the one from Predator 2, but it's the jungle scene essentially from the first Predator.
Yeah, it seems mostly based on the first movie.
Yeah, so you're kind of going around, except it's just modern day instead of like Vietnam or whatever era it was in actually at the time. But
yeah, I think it was like in Panama, Venezuela, or something.
Yeah,
like South America.
I think it still might be, because there's like a lot of like. I don't think it's just one map, because like I've seen map with like ruins and stuff like that, and then I've seen maps like without it, unless it's just like procedurally generated or something.
No, I think that's one section of the level, I think is what it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's probably like Aztec or Mayan ruins or something.
Which is obviously something that's gone from like some of the Alien versus Predator movies and stuff like that. Like those Mayan ruins are essentially like Predator created things in some of the lore.
All right, well, we only got a few minutes left, so I want to spend those few minutes talking about Last Oasis.
Yeah, take it off.
Last Oasis, if you guys weren't aware, me and Shifter talked about this game last year before our previous series ended. This game is it's so hard to describe. The aesthetic is hard to describe. It's crazy giant wooden walking land ships across a post-apocalyptic Earth. It's like if you took John Carter of Mars and mixed it with like the Time Machine with Morlocks. I don't know. It's so weird, but it's so much fun. You basically start out as a nomad on this Earth that is stuck tidally, and it turns very slowly. But when it turns, you gotta move, or you're gonna die from exposure. And there's crazy ape men everywhere, but you build these little walkers. And you start out with a really small one, and you gotta work your way up. And you only have a finite amount of time. Like I think it's only like 2 or 3 days every Oasis lasts. Is because I can't remember. Do you remember, guys, from seeing the timers?
I don't remember what the timers were specifically, just because I didn't get enough time to actually like sit down in one because the server issues on and off all weekend. But
it was at least a day and a half that each one of these Oasis would last before you would have to migrate. So you have to like get all the resources you can, stuff them in your walker, and move. And everybody's trying to gank you at the same time if they see you. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, and it's pretty wild. Like it's a lot of fun, like especially with the walkers. Like the walkers feel really fun and fluid. The like the grappling hook at first I thought was really clunky, but as you got into it more and more, it was actually pretty solid. Like I had a lot of fun with the grappling hook. Like even one day I started like flying around and like Captain Tucci was all like, he's like, "What the heck? Where did you come from?" Like he just sees me like flinging myself from like the side of a cliff. So some of that stuff is really, really good. And I like actually how they incorporate like forcing you to use the grappling hook in some scenarios too, like where you have to get like the cactus fruit and stuff like that. You have to do it from the giant cactus and you have to go all the way to the top to harvest it and stuff. So like, and then same thing if you're looting from certain wreckages of like old walkers, like you actually have to go to the top of the walker, cut down the bag, and then, harvest all that stuff. But overall, I mean, the game seems really good. It's a nice mix between an MMO and a survival game. And some of the survival like UI mechanics are a little weird or a little funky to get started with at first, but after you get into it a little bit more, it gets better as you go through it. But so far, I mean, aside of the server issues, it's a fantastic game. I highly recommend it to anybody. As soon as it does come back up, hopefully within a week or so is what they were saying, we'll get to play it more and deep dive into that a bit more on you for stream here on INN.
Yeah, no, I thought of a better analogy. It's John Carter meets Planet of the Apes.
Basically. Like modern Planet of the Apes too.
I would say like Mad Max meets Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Without the cars.
Without the cars. Yeah. Basically.
Replace the walkers with the cars. Giant wooden walkers. It's fun, and everybody literally tries to gank you. It felt like being a newbie in nullsec. Like for those of you guys who play Eve that are watching this, it's just, oh crap, I'm gonna die. I gotta run.
Yeah, and then your number one resource there's not necessarily money. I mean, there is a money currency, but it's not the main thing. Like your real actual currency is water. Like you revive off water. You have to survive on water. You have to travel to other oases via water, stuff like that. So you really got to stay on top of making sure you have enough to drink and travel with. So that's like definitely one of the big factors, which is really kind of a unique thing. Like instead of having to, you know, manage food, which is different, you have to manage your water intake and
You have to
cactuses
manage
and
your
stuff like
time.
and your time. Yeah.
Gotta keep your head on a swivel. Been a few times I got rammed by somebody, be like, "Oh crap! Oh crap! Oh crap!"
Well, I kind of loved like trolling people too, and I would go and like roll up next to them, especially if it was in like one of the starting zones after I got my walker done and everything. Like they see me coming up with my little wings, and I'm just a neutral, you know, whatever coming up, and I'll go and like bump them, or I'll get off my walker and jump on theirs, and just like hitch a ride for a second, then I'll jump off when they think that I'm attacking. Just like kind of just troll and mess around with it.
For me, real quick.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, sorry for me, real quick. I wasn't looking forward to this game at all, unlike you guys. Recently, I've been on my MMO tip and fallen in love with like a lot of MMOs lately, but I freaking despise survival games. Like I can't stand a lot of these survival games. So going into this, I wasn't really looking forward to it, but I was so shocked and surprised. Like the tutorial was like one of the best like tutorials out there for like an MMO survival game of this caliber, and like the survival elements are so like cool. Like it's not like it doesn't feel like nothing feels like a chore at all. Like even like chopping down wood or getting like cactus or water from cactus. Like it almost reminds me like in a weird way like Animal Crossing, because it doesn't feel like a chore. It feels like just feels good. It feels natural.
Yeah.
And like the fighting mechanics are really interesting and cool. I dig them. I know some people feel iffy about them, but I really like them.
Yeah.
I
And
just suck at blocking. That's my problem.
Well, like once you get used to where everything's at, like if you look at yourself and you kind of get used to where the positions are, and then you watch what other people, other like even NPCs or even people are doing. Like I actually had a really good like 15-minute duel with a guy one day before he ultimately killed me, but it was because I was sitting there blocking and going crazy, and both of us were like out of stamina. Like we actually both like stopped, stood back for a second, and then went at it again. And literally we got each other by a hair, but still like the combat like itself, it was like once you get used to it, it's really, really good.
Like versus the Rupus, I'm a Jedi. Okay, versus players, nah.
Well, players are more unpredictable, right? Like they don't have like the set things you can do, but
No, and every time I fight a player, they're like 10 levels ahead of me. I don't know how I get that luck.
they're like, give me the bone saw. I got you.
Yeah, they come at me with like the spike club, and I only got like the beat stick, and I'm like, dude, really?
Yeah.
As someone who wasn't looking forward to this game at all, I was really surprised, and I really dig it. I would recommend it to anybody, and I'm excited for what's to come for Last Oasis.
Yeah, as soon as they get their server issues sorted, I'm definitely excited to get back to playing it. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think, once we get more people on it too.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say to everybody watching the show, get friends to play this game with you because you want a clan as soon
Absolutely.
as possible. Because I left my Oasis, I went to a new one, came across a clan that had like 3 of the medium-sized walkers. My little ass had to run so far.
Oh yeah. Like it's definitely worth playing with friends. Like it's definitely one to either join a clan, an existing clan, or play with friends. So definitely worth it.
Now, I think we definitely should address the server issues. Hendo, I feel like you'd be better at addressing this.
Yes. All right. So, as those of you who did try, if there are those of you watching right now that did get involved in the last Oasis when they released on early access the other day, you would notice that today you cannot access the game. That was because they made the decision to shut down because they were there's no way this crew could have predicted the state of the world right now, and they got overwhelmed. This is their first game. It's an MMO. It's a huge undertaking for even a major studio, and they made it their first thing to do. And they've been completely transparent, and they've decided to shut down for the next week. They're calling in some outside devs. They try to do it as safe as possible with the current situation. But the game is effectively down, but they are giving away, they are not giving away, they're allowing anybody, regardless of playtime, to get a full refund. I don't know if any of your stuff's going to be saved. I'm expecting all my stuff to be deleted and started from scratch, but I'm not worried about that.
I mean, honestly, like
Yeah.
it's so like once you go past the tutorial, it's super, super quick to get back into it. Like I remember like for the first night we played, I think it was Monday night with Zanus, like it took us like, you know, about an hour to get done everything with the tutorial. But when I came back the second time, I was done in like 15 minutes. I was like, yeah, I know how to do this. We're good. Let's go. So, and that was definitely like, I was trying to help people get through the game because it was like some of the questions they had is just basically simple UI tweaks that they could have done to make it a little bit better. But overall, I mean, it was a very positive experience.
Yeah, like they have a lot of different servers. Like I don't want anybody to think that this is a game like Eve. This is a game divided by country, by coast of the country, and they have several servers for each one of these subdivisions. So they tried to spread this out as much as they could, and the infrastructure just wasn't there for the volume of players.
Yeah, they definitely got hit with a lot more players than I think they expected for sure.
Yeah, I believe like the first 10 servers in every region was full.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
It was ridiculous.
But yeah, it's definitely something we'll have to continue on in another episode. We're running out of time for today, but
Yes.
I mean, overall,
And
the positive experiences with it.
Yeah, and real quick, if you want to get any of the information on exactly what's going on Last Oasis, they have a very active YouTube channel. Just type in Last Oasis in YouTube. They release something every week letting you know what's going on. So if you want complete up to date information from Donkey Crew themselves, the developers, check out their YouTube channel.
Yeah, and definitely during this whole thing with the server stuff, they've been trying to update it every other day or so, just to make sure people are aware. And that's one thing I have to definitely appreciate from developers is like being transparent that they are having issues. Like not like what was the game company that did
Hello Games.
Yeah, was it Hello Games that did
Yeah. No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky, yeah. Well, they went silent for like a month and nobody knew what was going on. Like, you know, they're not
they went
that.
silent for like a year.
Yeah.
They were hanging out with Bethesda. That's what happened.
Yeah. So but it was good. Like the transparency is great. Like I'm glad that they're keeping up with it. You know, I definitely feel for them, wanting to just make sure they can catch back up and get everything working before they bring it back.
Oh, and that's the other thing too. This game is super affordable at like under $30.
Yeah, 24 bucks still, and I think they're going to extend the sale. They were saying during their last thing. I think.
So super, like half the price of almost any MMO out there, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no subscription or anything like that. It is an MMO. You can play with lots of people and your friends and all that, so it's definitely worth it as like a nomadic adventure, basically, that you have to keep moving, which is great.
Forgot all about that shit. Yeah, this is a one-time buy. You're in game. You buy the game. You're in there. There's no subscription. There might be microtransactions for cosmetics way down the road, but
there's none in right now. Just to be clear, there's none in right now.
Yeah, none of it. Like I'm saying, way down the road, a couple of years, they might try to sell you some like rainbow sales for $2, but that's probably going to be it.
Yeah, I don't expect anything right now, so I know it's not worth mentioning at the moment. But yeah, nothing to worry about. Anyways, that's all I have time for today. Thank you all so much for joining us today on Cartridge to Cloud. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any feedback, questions, concerns, comments on our episodes, please let us know at c2c@imperium.news or hit us up on the podcast or in the Imperium News Discord. Definitely check out all of the other great shows here on INN. The Meta Show, Push to Talk, Open Com Show, and as well your folks here at Cartridge to Cloud. Any last words, guys?
Stay safe, stay healthy, don't do anything stupid.
Yes, stay safe and play video games.
Alrighty, guys and gals. Thank you all so much for joining us on this episode of Cartridge to Cloud, and we'll see you all next time.